Hello, viewers and listeners, and thank you so much for joining us again for the Unique Vibrations interview series with our very special guest today, who is Trish Jackson. Trish has defied the odds against all the medical profession after being told she wouldn't live, she wouldn't go to school, she wouldn't marry, she wouldn't have a lot of things that we all take for granted in life, and would certainly never experience having children of her own. And as a thalidomide survivor, Trish is now all of those things and so much more. Trish is a motivational speaker around schools to educate children against bullying and just the image of who they are. And welcome to our show this week, Trish.
Oh, thank you very much for having me. It's awesome. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Now, Trish, obviously a thalidomide survivor, your journey started very early in life. We could say that, I suppose, right from day dot, virtually. So just tell our viewers a little bit about your journey growing up, because I'm sure that there's some extraordinary circumstances there.
Okay. Well, for those the people that don't know what thalidomide is, because it's a big long word and it's a forgotten tragedy, thalidomide was a drug that was around in the late 1950s, early 60s. It was never properly tested, and as a result, it was commonly used for morning sickness, but it was in a lot of other medications as well. But it caused a lot of birth defects for those mothers that took it while they were pregnant. So in my case, my mum actually had it for her migraines that she suffered. So she used to vomit really seriously with her migraines. She was given a sample packet of thalidomide and to help stop the vomiting, and then later on she realised that she was pregnant, and she'd gone back to the doctor and he had destroyed all her medical records. And I think that happened an awful lot back in those days. We're talking a long time ago. So how thalidomide affected me was that I was born with very short arms. I have 3 fingers on each hand, and they've virtually come out of my shoulders, really, and a lot of internal damage with my heart and my lungs. So, yes, I was told that I probably wouldn't survive, and my parents were told I wouldn't survive. But I'm still here today. Thank goodness. And it's been an amazing journey.
Yeah. So, what a great story to defy the odds like that. And, I think it just shows how young and instinctively our inner strength kicks in. Just with that part of your story, and we haven't even really started, so we've got so much more to share. So going on that and moving into, as you got older and around school age, I suppose, there must have been some horrible things that you experienced during that time as a child. We all know that children can be very blunt, and that sometimes is very cruel. So talk to us about your childhood growing up and how, entering school and beyond.
Okay, well, a little bit different because I was so sick as a child. So for grades 1 to 3, I actually went to a crippled children's home because disabled people didn't go to mainstream schools back in those days.
No.
To say I hated it. I really hated it. Not because they were mean to me or I didn't like the school. It's just it was full of all these disabled kids, and I never thought I was disabled. I was just this cute little kid with cute little arms and a heart that didn't work very well. To me, that was never a disability, and I didn't know why I was there. But they were very nice. The school was very nice. I can't complain about that. But, yeah, I just didn't feel I fitted in there. So we moved from Townsville to Brisbane because I had to go through a lot of heart surgery.
Yeah.
So I begged my dad to get me into a mainstream school like my brother and sister went to. There was only one school in Brisbane that would accept me. And, I was really lucky I got into that school, and it was awesome. They really, really looked after me. I never went to school on the first day of each term because the school was all got together and they were told they were never allowed to bully me, and they had to look after me and that kind of stuff. And so I was kind of spared a lot at school, which I was lucky about.
Yeah.
Of course, there's always those kids that are just horrid. And yeah, they bullied relentlessly, but it would have been a lot worse if the school hadn't been so forthcoming in telling kids not to bully me. But I find I get bullied more these days.
Truly.
Yeah. Like the minute I leave my house and if I go out into society, I get laughed at, I get stared at. People walk past me and say the most horrid things. People can be so cruel.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you think that's because they're not educated, or do you think it's just humanity and society?
I think they feel so embarrassed, they don't know what to do, so this negativity, and they stare and they say say what's not, they say inappropriate things because they don't know how to react.
Yeah.
And I think it's all about education, which is why I go and do school kids and teach them that, being different is okay.
Yeah,
there's nothing wrong with it.
Absolutely. And I love the way that you talked about when you went to the special school and you didn't feel like you fitted in because you didn't see yourself as being disabled. And that in itself just goes to show that you just wanted to be treated normal. And I think, that's a really big message to anybody who's got a disability or been injured or had something occur in their life where their life suddenly changes. It's about continuing life as normally as possible rather than taking the back seat and being in that mindset of, why me? Why did this happen? What have I done to deserve this? The approach mentally, I think, is so inspiring to think that you are literally out there doing that every single day of your life from day one. That's an amazing. I love that. I love that you didn't see that you see yourself as a disabled person. So, and what is disabled? Let's face it. Disability is really the ability of other people to see you as a normal person.
That's right. We all have different abilities. So
exactly. And we're all very unique too. And I think it doesn't matter what you are, who you are, where you come from. Or any of that cultural stuff, I think it all comes down to just understanding that we each are very unique. We have our own creativity and we explore our own avenues, and that, it doesn't matter what we look like. We're all made up of the same thing at the end of the day, really.
Well, that's right. And I tell the kids the story. I put up these photos and there's one of me sitting with Santa Claus. So I like Santa when I was little. And I tell them, just like every other kid.
Absolutely, normal.
When I was about 8, I asked Santa for something really special. And of course, all the kids say, oh, you would have asked him for arms. And I go, well, no, I never did. And they go, well, why wouldn't you? And I said, well, at a very young age, I can remember that just before I'd go to bed, I would sit on the end of my bed and I would close my eyes and I would go, I wish I had arms. And then I'd look down, open my eyes, I'd look down, my arms would still be the same. Yeah. And I'd go, oh, well, I'd wish tomorrow night. And I think I did it for about 2 weeks, every night wishing my life was different. And I just came to the realisation that, no amount of wishing is ever going to change how I look.
No.
So I learned acceptance of me at a very young age. And I knew I couldn't change it. So I was just going to make the best of the world. And my dad is always amazed at my happiness and, my attitude in life. He can't get over how happy I was. And I wouldn't let them tell me that I couldn't do something.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I think you just tend to get more determined in achieving, don't you? Because you just want to prove that you can do it.
Absolutely. Don't tell me I can't do something.
I think a lot. I think a lot of people, entrepreneurs especially, are very much that way inclined. Tell me I can't, and just watch me. Stand back and watch me. I'll show you I can. So, that's something I use all the time. So just don't tell me I can't, because I will prove you wrong.
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah. So, now, Trish, you mentioned that you go around, you speak to a lot of schools to educate them on, their image and bullying and how to treat others and respect and all those sorts of things. How long have you been doing this? And also, I believe community groups as well that you speak to. So it probably isn't hard to understand why you went down that track, but just so our viewers understand a bit more about why you took that position in your life.
Okay. Well, it amazes me that I can do this, because as a kid I was so shy. I wouldn't speak to anyone unless they spoke to me first.
Wow.
But I grew up with a very good friend, and she became a school teacher. And about 5 years ago, I think it was now, and she asked me to come and speak to her Year 7 students. And, of course, my first reaction to her was, well, why would you want me? I'm nothing special. And she just said, oh, Trish, don't be so silly. We've grown up together. I've watched you overcome obstacles and you've always done it with a smile on your face. And I just want you to come and share, your story with my kids. And I thought, oh, okay. So I went very nervously, and I was supposed to be there for about 5 or 10 minutes, but I ended up being there most of the day. The kids wouldn't let me leave.
Yeah, wow.
It was awesome. Yeah, just had great, great fun, and it's just grown and grown and grown from there. So the ABC did a story on my public speaking with school kids last year. And I've done about 38 schools this year and 9,000 kids, something like that.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that you travel all through Queensland and down into New South Wales, and if need be, I guess further afield if somebody was interested, because, we air this all around the world. So,
I'll go anywhere where somebody wants me.
So that's fantastic. And have you ever thought about speaking to an older audience?
I've spoken to community groups and senior citizens and CWAs, and I love the oldies, and they're like from kindergarten to 85, I think, is my oldest person that I've spoken to.
Wow, that's massive.
I just love it.
Yeah, fantastic. All right, that sounds really great. Sharing your story and just giving that to people as an insight on how not to behave, I suppose, is the best way I can put that into words. So that's incredible, and a great way to spend your history and your life sharing with others. So fantastic. Now, I also want to talk a little bit about your, all obviously Trish's links and everything are in the comments below, and you will get to click on those for us. Trish, what's your biggest learnings that you've taken away from your whole life's journey?
I think it's, life is hard, no matter who you are. There are down days and there are good days, and you've just got to focus on the good days and not let the down days get to you.
Yeah.
And just, be happy. Life is so short, and it's hard to be happy every day, that's for sure. And just make the most of every day.
Yeah. And I think that's important. I think, you're right. We're not always going to have a fantastic day every single day. So make the most of what you have got on that day, and, just do a bit of a step back and a reflect, I suppose, on why you're feeling like that, and work on whatever it is that's making you feel that way, and understand where that comes from and move forward, and don't waste time dwelling on it, is, I think, a great example as well, because you only want to be a better version of yourself each and every day, and you really certainly do not want to be carrying yesterday's load with you. you know, if you had a
Exactly.
bad day yesterday. So that's perfect, brilliant. And, you know, if you were to, you know, leaving a legacy behind, what would that be for you? How would you like people to really remember Trish Jackson?
That I overcome lots of obstacles and always did it with a smile on my face, and hopefully I encourage others to believe in themselves.
Yeah, and I'm sure that you do that. I've heard and read your story, and I know that, you know, I hope that your happiness comes through on this interview, because right from when we connected at the start of this, you were laughing and smiling, and, you know, it's just an honor to be part of that, because there are so many people out there who really complain about smallest of things, and you are the perfect example of how to overcome those struggles with mindset and inner strength that you've had all the way through your life. So, you know, thank you very much for honouring us with your presence on this series. I really am very grateful for your time. One last thing, I think now, we were going to look at all the links that Trish has for us there as well. Trish obviously would be happy to speak to any of the groups out there if you were interested in engaging her as a speaker. And that's her gift to the audience today. So, you know, Trish, that again is all through your website and website link or Facebook links that we put up.
Thank you very much. I'd love to speak to anyone.
Yeah.
I just love it.
Yeah.
It's great fun. I just get so much feedback, and, you know, to see kids' faces come up and say thank you, and just, yeah. I've got about 7 scrapbooks filled of little letters that kids have written to me and said thank you. And they're just,
Oh, dear.
they melt my heart.
Yeah,
Yeah.
isn't that beautiful? So, look, again, thank you so much for sharing your story with us today. It really is extraordinary. And, you know, we all know that every day can be ordinary, and we weren't born with anything extraordinary in our lives. We create that as we move through our life journey. And, you know, my biggest thing is, and this is a perfect example having you on the show, I've come to say 3 things at the end of what I do at the moment, and that's be valued, be limitless. And that's a perfect example of you, and be extraordinary, because we weren't put here to be ordinary. And that's why we're all sharing our story with our audiences today. So again, Trish, I really do thank you so much for being with us today.
Oh, I thank you. Thank you. It's been an honor. Thank you very much.
That's okay.
Have a great day, everyone.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone. Bye for now.